I've not heard all of the lyrics to that before, so thank you. That was just beautiful. Peter, the one and only Peter. So today is a little special and a little unusual, and that is because we're honoring our practitioners. And I think that there's such a powerful essence in this community, and they are so underappreciated sometimes. So I wanted to just let you know about the practitioners, and they have agreed to reaffirm their dedication to this community once more. So I think we'll start with talking about what a practitioner is. And my explanation is this. Practitioners are professional prayers. They are people who have made a spiritual decision to know the truth. And they have stepped forward for really extensive training in knowing that truth. So, if I have a problem, and I often do have problems, we've discussed that before, I too go to a practitioner, although I am essentially, basically a practitioner. That's who I really am. And the ministerial part is an outgrowth of that practice of being a practitioner. So I often get in stuff, what is often called the mix, down in it. And I can't see clearly the truth, which is that God is all there is, and that's all that I need to know. And there is that unifying force, that unifying power that I can turn to, and I can pray to within. And clarity comes. So practitioners are taught on a deep level to use the 5 steps of affirmative prayer that this faith, this philosophy, uses and teaches. And the 5 steps are recognition, knowing that there is only God. Unification, knowing that I am part of that one. Realization that whatever is causing me to be distraught, that's all part of that one whole also. And knowing that that has no power, that it's an illusion. And absolutely claiming the illusion of it, the mist of it, the false belief of it. And owning, on the deepest level, the outcome that is in harmony and in power and in peace with the divine. And then just giving thanks for that. We are not a congregation or a belief system or a philosophy that beseeches God, that prays, oh God, please. Because that puts negative prayer into the universe. We just accept the truth that God is loving, that God is all-knowing, all-powerful, and that's all there is. Any belief in anything else is an illusion. And so then we give thanks for that. That's the next step of just giving thanks for the truth that is showing up and the truth that is showing up in ways that I could not even imagine, that I couldn't even guess at. And so when I have an idea about the outcome that I want, sometimes I have to step away from it because God's got such much more magnificent plans and ideas. And the last step is just letting it go, just releasing it, knowing fully that that unifying force, that source of all creativity, is at action in the prayer. And waiting with anticipation, with excitement for the wow factor, the miracles that show up, the explanations and the outcome that I would never ever dream could happen, and just stepping away from that and allowing God to do what God does so well. So practitioners are trained in that, ingrained in that powerfully. So I want to tell you a little bit about the steps that are required to become a practitioner. This is not something that these folks have taken lightly, saying to themselves, oh, I think I'll be a practitioner. First off, they are required, and this is a requirement, and I want to take a little segue here to tell you that Centers for Spiritual Living is an international organization. It's not just us. It's a worldwide organization. And they provide training tools and classes and curriculum that teaches in this philosophy. So, when I say practitioners are required, that's a requirement of our national organization, the Centers for Spiritual Living. So, the requirements are this. They must take 100, and this has just changed, so I'm going to make sure I get the number right. They must take 156 hours of training. 156 hours of training in various classes offered by CSL. Jen calls it the mothership. 156 hours of foundations class, which is the basic philosophy, meditation or spiritual practices, about the history of religious science and science of mind and CSL. All the same thing, just names morphing. Money management, life management, prayer, 156 accumulated hours before they can start practitioner training. That's just the getting there of 156 hours. Once a person has made a decision to become a practitioner, then they take an additional 30 hours of classes, 60 hours of classes. 60, not hours, but 60 weeks of classes. And they're still with us. Now, when you talk about the classes that are required, the hours that are required, those are just classroom hours. So you multiply classroom hours by 3 hours a week, And I've totaled this out, and it is 648 hours of study. Now, this is not just study. This is reading. This is writing papers. This is practice. And once they've finished those 60 classes, then, if they're still with us, they must take a written exam that's proctored. And it's an exam that is created by the mothership, CSL. If they have passed that, then they must take an oral exam with 2 practitioners and 1 minister. It's an amazing thing that anybody stays with that. I don't think that medical doctors are required to be taking as much extensive training, really, as a practitioner does. And yet, it is so expansive. It is such a powerful opportunity for spiritual growth. So that's what it takes to become a practitioner, to become one. And then there's more. Every 2 years, they must renew their license. And they're licensed to CSL. They're free agents. And with these people, this center holds their license. They have to be renewed every 2 years, and that requires, what is it now, 250 hours of service. 250 hours of service. 250 hours of service. Then they have to pay to get their license renewed. And they must submit a documentation of a demonstration, meaning that someone has got to be willing to say, this practitioner's prayer worked for me. Which is kind of hard because all of the work that we do is confidential. So that's the training that's required to become a practitioner. And I have to tell you, it's an act of love. It's hard work. And I just want you all to understand what dedication that they have had to get to this place, to be sitting here. So, what happens when you see a practitioner, when you make an appointment to visit a practitioner? They're spiritual counselors. Now, after service, they're willing to do what we call a brief tune-up, to sit with you and pray with you briefly. That is not what a practitioner session is. So you call up and you say, I'd like to make an appointment to any one of these people. And then you meet with them one-on-one for around an hour and 15 minutes. And they will tell you that what they do is confidential. And they really mean that. So your secret is safe. They're not there to judge. They're not there to shake their finger at you and call you, whatever, a sinner, or they're there to see the truth for you and to ask you pointed questions that will allow you to be more clear about any kind of circumstance and situation in your life. This is not a therapy session. They're not trained therapists. They're trained in spiritual truth. So when I talk about ethics, that is the most powerful, impressive, and important ethic, and that is confidentiality. And so if you've had a prayer session with a practitioner, they never will come up to you and say, hey, how did that turn out? That is out of integrity with a practitioner. So if you have results from or a demonstration, it is your responsibility to tell them about the results, because they have prayed the truth and they have let it go knowing that it's done. They're not going to re-establish that problem or that issue by asking you, how are you doing with blah, 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 whatever it was. So please know that. They're not coming back to you and asking you, how's it going, in that particular direct way. They may say, how are you, in a very general form. So that's an ethical issue. They are charged with reporting any type of child abuse or potential harm to self or others. They will do that after careful prayer and consideration. And so people say often, and I want to get this clear, people say, well, I'm expected to pay for prayer, for intercession with God. No, you're not expected to pay for prayer. What you're paying for is the practitioner's time and the practitioner's training. If you can't afford a practitioner session, say so. Nobody's going to turn anybody away for lack of payment. But the truth of the matter is, we always value what we pay for. And if you, and I'm not saying you, if someone doesn't have an understanding of the value of practitioner work, then change is not going to happen. You get that? Mm-hmm. So you're not expected to pay for prayer. But there is a justifiable fee that's negotiable for the practitioner's time and the practitioner's training and clarity. But golly, is it worth it? It is. It's so worth it to have the opportunity to sit down with these lovely people who are just heart open, that love you unconditionally, and that know the highest and best for you. And after that practitioner session, they hold you in prayer for a week. They continue to know the truth for you for an entire week. So some people say, well, you know, my life is swell. I don't need a practitioner. Well, swell. Because what you don't appreciate goes away. So you can just see a practitioner to reaffirm to clarify that good that's already in your life. So that is what a practitioner is. Someone trained to have an open heart and love and unconditional appreciation for you, without judgment, without criticism. Someone that is trained to have the use of the law that is the law that says it's done unto you as you believe. And when you can't believe good for yourself, they can believe it for you. They can hold it for you. So I wanted to share that with you. I wanted to let you know who these people are. So I've asked them if they will step up here to the platform and tell you the one quality of God that they bring to this community. And then I'm going to ask them to make a declaration of commitment once more. One thing I forgot to mention here is that when I came to this community, it was right after the unification of our motherships. So two motherships came together, collided. And so there was one arm of our community that used training, and then another arm of our community that used different training. And so some of our practitioners had trained with International, and some had trained with United. And so I asked them if they would be willing to come together and repeat their training with the materials that are now available. So I asked them to do all of the practitioner training all over again. And they said yes. They agreed to another 60 classes. So we meet once a week, Friday afternoon, and they're doing it all over again. And what has happened is this core of practitioners are the strongest and the most powerful and the most bonded that I've ever encountered. So not only have they agreed to have more training, they have agreed today to rededicate themselves to this community. So I'd like to ask Doug, we're doing it alphabetical by last name, so Doug Halsmer is the first on the list, and I probably mispronounced it.
And that's why I don't use that name on the radio, because nobody can get it right.
It's actually Holzmeier, or as they would say in Germany, Holzmeier.
So, this is where I tell them my unique.
The quality of God that you bring to this community, Doug.
I was thinking about this last night, and I didn't think very long. And I think it's something that is inherent in me. And I got this from not only the Mother, Father, God, but from my mom and dad, who were always accepting of everybody in our neighborhood, in the world. You just didn't speak ill will of anybody at any time. Now, we didn't always treat ourselves that well, but you just never spoke ill will of anybody else. And so I learned that lesson early. And oh, you can. And you can hear me even louder. So so tying that into the science of mind and unity and oneness is that I have always seen the best in everybody. And I think because I've always wanted them to see the best in me. Doesn't always work that way, but it does work that way when you practice it all the time. And you know that there is only one. So when I see you, I see me and I see God. It doesn't matter how tall you are, where you are this way or this way, what political affiliation you may have. None of it concerns me. The only thing that concerns me is your well-being, and so that's what I do. It's seeing who you are and where you are as you are. Of course, we know all that is good because it's God. So that's how I see things. So with that, I will light a candle, and if you would hold this.
I will.
Put it down.
Now, there you go. There.
And I'll just stand over here.
Okay, and Vince Linton is going to be our next practitioner who's bringing his quality of God.
My qualities, I thought about this a little bit one after we talked about it. And I think basically I try to show love and understanding. I listen to what you have to say, and I try to help you understand what you are saying. And so just to be simple, that's what I believe in. And so now I'll light my candle.
Good. Well, Kathy Moore is the next person here, and she's not here today. She had a family event, and she's very much family oriented. But what I know about Kathy is that she brings the quality of beauty to our community. That's who she says she brings. And if I could get this thing to light,
I'm not an
would you,
expert.
yeah, you do that, thanks. So this is for Kathy Moore, who is definitely with us in heart. She sent a ficus tree. This is the practitioner tree that she has gifted us with, and we will put it up with the rest of our plants and know that that's the truth. So let's see. Elisa is our next practitioner, and she's going to tell us of the quality of God that she brings to our community.
Microphone.
And I'll give her the microphone.
Thank you. I'm sorry. The quality, it just, when Rebecca explained what a practitioner is, the quality that came to me was faith. Faith on the unseen. And before I light my candle, I want to tell you a demonstration that has taken place. And I'm so grateful for the practitioners and the ministers for holding me in such a high esteem, and for Nick and Maria holding me to my truth, my beauty, my light. I had eye surgery on Tuesday. Last Friday, I was in class with the practitioners, and I requested a prayer for peace and harmony, that everything would be fine. That was it. And they took it into their hearts and mind to do this for me. 7:30 in the morning, I was at Reno, and I was as peaceful as I could be. And I knew that all was well. There was nothing wrong with me. At 9 o'clock, 10 to 9, they wheeled me into the operating room, and I had the most fabulous time with my doctor. And he was listening to music, and I wanted to dance. And the anesthesiologist said to me, "You're just going to go to bed." And I said, "Night, night." Next thing I woke up, boy, was I feeling good. feeling excellent. And if I don't come and hug you like I normally do, it's because my left eye, most of you are taller than I am, and I'm concerned that your shoulder will hit my glasses and hit me. That's why. But otherwise, please feel free to hug me. I'm all right. I'm okay there. But faith of God, that's what came to me. And I thank the practitioners again and my wonderful minister for holding me in that space. And all of you that know me, thank you. I'm so grateful. I do write these little inspirations, and that's all God. And when I hear from you, it gives me that strength. And Holly, when you sent me yours, I had just gotten surgery, and it feels so good. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks, Elisa. Well, Vince is our official helper.
Faith, and thank you.
So Reverend Aaron is next. And I didn't even talk about the ministerial requirements.
Lots more training, lots more panel interviews. They actually call it an intensive, and it is. So I've actually been thinking about this question unknowingly, not knowing it was going to come up. And for me this last year, realizing that the joy of being a practitioner, the joy of being a minister, is about stepping even more deeply into grace, into compassion, and into kindness. Because if we can hold that for ourselves and for everyone, we truly are able to see the God that everyone is. And so I boil that down to kindness. So that is the quality of God that I bring to you all, and thank you.
And Kate is next. And I'm not going to say last, because I'm hoping that there will be others who are interested in taking the plunge here.
Right after Prac, when I did make it through all that, we had a little visioning that one of the ministers put on, and they go, "What is your purpose?" I went, "Purpose? I now have to have a purpose to be a practitioner?" I was like, I just got through all this. I thought it was clear. So that kind of stuck with me for a while, because things don't come real fast for me at times up until now. That it expanded. It became more of an awareness of what I feel I bring to whatever congregation that I am in as a practitioner or as just a congregant, such as you, is that I witness. I witness each and every one of you as who you are. And that I support that. That I want to see that comfort and peace, that love that I have found from here, becoming a practitioner. And to know that that is you, right here, right now. That I witness you in your growth, or in your pain, or in your sadness, in your glee, in wherever it is you are. I witness you and say yes to you, for you. And I hold you in those spots of truth, as Rebecca has said, when you can't. So I feel I bring that witnessing and that seeing you as the light that you are when you can't.
So there are some questions that I have for the practitioners, and I have to walk in front of you, excuse me. Sorry. And so that I ask of each of you. And you can say, if you're willing, I do. Just like you're marrying this community, which of course you are.
Sounds like a commitment.
So, do you pledge your commitment to maintain the consciousness of unity with God's power and love through the daily practice of affirmative prayer treatment for yourself, your clients, your church, your minister, and the world?
I do.
Too. Thank you. And I'm going to join in because as I said, I am a practitioner. Do you promise to do your part in carrying out the mission of this center, which is to create a loving, caring spiritual community that gratefully celebrates the unfolding divine presence of all?
I do.
I do. Do you vow to actively live Circle's Edge values of love, spirituality, gratitude, and caring?
I do.
So I have questions for you. I hope that you're willing. Do you promise to allow these practitioners to support you in times of your need?
I do.
Do you promise to support these practitioners through your own prayers?
I do.
So, I now would like to ask each practitioner if they're willing to take on the mantle of, you're going to have to step in.
It'd be so much more fun if you didn't.
This is my Olympic moment.
Do you accept the shawl and the shroud of practitioner to this community?
I do.
Do you accept the shawl and the shroud of practitioner in this community?
I do.
Do you accept the shawl and the mantle of practitioner within this community?
I do.
Oh, it's the other one. No? Do you accept the shawl and the mantle of the practitioner and minister?
I absolutely do.
Do you accept the shawl and the mantle of practitioner within this community?
I do.
So, I introduce to you your practitioner corps. So, now you know when I invite the practitioners to circle this room and hold the consciousness, that's what we're up to. And I want to remind you of the prayer chest that you can invite the practitioners to hold you in prayer. And they're happy to do that. So, I want to share with you our founder, Ernest Holmes' explanation for what a practitioner is. And he wrote this when it was conventional to refer to all humanity as the male gender. So just, relax into it. The practitioner has a complete conviction that a higher use of the law of cause and effect transcends a lower use of it. Even though he starts with only an intellectual or logical conviction of this, a spiritual intuition within him will support this logic and give him a consciousness of this reality. This will lift his faith to a complete certainty. Spiritual consciousness should be added to the mental technique. Mental technique is the use we make of this consciousness. The practitioner must know that conditions flow from causes and not the reverse, that everything in the physical world is an effect. We should seek to combine spiritual upreaching with conscious mental action for definite purpose. This is what constitutes spiritual mind practice on a scientific basis. And by scientific, we do not mean anything cold or merely mechanical. We merely mean the conscious use of a known law. People should be shown how to unite faith with understanding so that they will not only know what they are doing, but how and why they are doing it. Their faith is in God, the living Spirit. It is both right and necessary that they have this faith. Their knowledge, however, is of a definite law of cause and effect in the mental world and the law of mind and action. With childlike confidence, the practitioner lifts up his consciousness to the universe. The sublime act of faith is justified by its results, for the universe honors our acceptance of it in the terms of that acceptance. So join with me as I turn within, uniting myself with the One, knowing that there is only God, there's only unity. There is nothing other. Anything else is an illusion of separation. And as I absolutely know that truth, I am so grateful for this wonderful core of practitioners who absolutely know that truth, that anchor this center of spiritual living in the core values, the core beliefs of the unifying essence of the One. I am so grateful for the power of this ecclesiastical team that step up to help all of Circle's Edge flow and move toward the fulfillment of God's divine idea for this organic, living, breathing essence. The idea of God that Circle's Edge is. I'm so grateful for the loving support, the humor, the generosity of time and spirit and essence that they each are. I'm so grateful for the direction toward alignment and wholeness that they are guiding and directing this community in. And I absolutely know and claim that their lives are so powerfully enriched by service to this lovely, loving, unified congregation. And I am so grateful that this congregation is so deeply and enriched and fulfilled by the love and the power of the knowing of each one of these practitioners. And I'm so grateful for the light that blooms forth, that shines forth from this community. Because it is anchored in the service and the love and the power of our practitioner corps. So I invite you to join with me in deep gratitude and deep thanks for the power of each one of these practitioners. And I invite that by asking you to join with me in saying, and so it is.